Thank you, Ms. Harris, for that introduction. Dr. Seuss once said, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind." Good morning, fifth grade class of 2011. How are you all doing this morning? I like that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I thank Ms. Martin, Ms. Harris, the fifth grade teachers. I thank each and every one of you for allowing me to come today. It's always a wonderful opportunity to come and speak with you all. And already you all have inspired me with that beautiful song. Our choir director, Mr. Holloway, leading the rock. Let's give him a hand. In fact, I want you to give all your fifth grade teachers a hand once again. These family members, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, let's give them a hand. Of course, your principal and your assistant principal, Ms. Martin and Ms. Harris, let's give them a hand. And last but certainly not least, give yourselves a hand for making it. Amen. I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong place. We're in school and in church. But anyway, I remember when I was just a little bit younger than many of you. I was in the first grade. And I remember whenever I was in class, there was this lady that would come to my class and she would take me out. And we would go to this little office and she would make me repeat words after her. Whatever she said, she would make me say. Now at the time, I didn't realize what was going on. All I knew was that I enjoyed getting out of class. But later on, I realized what was happening. And the reason I realized this is because students, friends, peers, they started making fun of me. They would tease me. They told me that I couldn't talk right. They would laugh and point at me because of the way I said my words. Whenever I would try to have a conversation with them, they would act like they couldn't understand what I was saying. So I realized after that point that something was going on. I realized I had a major speech impediment. It was so bad, in fact, that people told my parents, the administrators told my parents that they wanted to put me in special ed because it was so bad. So as I listened at that, it hurt because I started to withdraw from people. I became very quiet. I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't talk to anyone because I was afraid of people making fun of me. I started to doubt myself because of what other people thought about me. But then something happened. I started to remember things that my parents always told me. How I could do anything that I wanted to do. How I could be anything that I wanted to be. How I could go anywhere that I wanted to go. And I started to take this advice to heart. I started myself working on saying my words correctly. I started myself working on my speaking ability. And a crazy thing happened. The same people that told me I couldn't talk are now the same people who are asking me to talk. The same thing that people said I couldn't do, I now do for a living. The same people, because at one time I couldn't talk, but now I'm teaching people how to speak correctly. I'm a teacher, I teach communication. At one time I couldn't speak articulately, but now people are asking me to speak at their events, such as this, and I thank people for that opportunity. But it goes to show that people can tell you one thing, but you can believe another. And some of you in this class have been through the same thing that I've been through, or maybe even worse. Some of you have been told what you couldn't do. Some of you have been told that you weren't smart enough. Some of you have been told that you weren't good enough. Some of you have been told that it wasn't going to happen, but guess what? Guess what? Say what? It's your time. It's your time for greatness, and today is your day. And today I want to remind you of the greatness that lies within you. And I'm not going to be long, I'm just going to give you 3 things that I want you to consider as you make your journey onto middle school. The first thing I want you to consider is that you need to learn how to take risks. How many of you all know what a risk is? So for those who don't know, and I will remind those who do know, a risk is like taking a chance. Some people might say it's taking a gamble. People who go skydiving or bungee jumping, they take a risk because there's a chance that they could pass. There's a chance that they could fail. And if they fail, it's not going to be very good for them. But the thing about risk is there's always a chance for failure. In fact, some risks are major, some are a little bit minor. When I first saw Mrs. Davis, and of course she wasn't Mrs. Davis at the time because she was 10 years old. But the first time I saw Mrs. Davis, she was about 10 years old. And she was a beautiful girl. And that first time, I had a major crush on her. But I was scared to talk to her because she was so beautiful. And I didn't want to take the risk of getting rejected. I didn't want to take the risk of her pointing in my face and laughing at me. I didn't want to take the risk of her rolling her eyes and walking away. So I didn't actually talk to her again. The first time I saw her, I was about 10. I didn't actually talk to her until I was about 16. So I finally decided to take a risk. And guess what happened? Well, you all know what happened. We got married. And she's with me today. But if I had never taken that risk, I would still be single. So if you want to stay where you are, please understand that you will never go anywhere. When you take a risk, there is always a chance for failure. And a lot of people are afraid of failure. In fact, I would say that everybody in this room is probably afraid of failing. And they always tell people failure is not an option. But I'm going to disagree with that today. And I'm going to go as far as saying, I want you to fail. Now, parents, don't get upset and take your child out of the room. I'm going to explain my